Yo, what it do, YouTube? It is your boy Marcus. We're back with another video, and today I'm going to ask you guys what caused the Colts to struggle last season. Now, of course, we had our ups and downs. There was a few name blaming for a bunch of people, but nobody really had a solid person to pick from. But there's a few things that goes into this topic. I'm not going to lie to you. So, inconsistency is one of those things that was a big issue for us going into last year. I mean, we kind of started off slow, but we kind of picked it up maybe after week 7, I would say, and we really started hitting our stride. Jonathan Taylor's production went up after that game against the Baltimore Ravens. His production went really high, and he started to really get the feel of the game and emotion. So I would put that in the stride as well. Game plan, sticking with game plan. I think that was a big issue for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll have these moments when we have leads, and then all of a sudden we'll just lose it and really let off the gas, and then it will get teams to creep back into the game when it could have been a blowout all along. So I think sticking to the game plan was one of the issues. But another thing I would add is the defense. Coaching, I would say the defensive coaching scheme that we have for the Colts was, I would say, pretty light. We was like maybe too easy on the pass coverage. I'd say it was too easy for offenses to air us out. We were playing soft coverages. Everybody knew that we were running the Tampa 2, pretty much flat zone, and pretty much letting the wide receivers, if they get past them, they're going to be gone. Wasn't enough pressure off the edge rush. We know that already. I know it's going to be a bunch of people saying, well, we draft Kwity Paye, so it's going to solve the problem. But it really wasn't just pass rush. If you really looked at the soft coverage this defense was running, it was really bad. And that's one of the reasons why Buffalo was really good to air it out, even though we gave them a fight. But Buffalo really aired us out that game. Even the Green Bay game, for example, that could have been worse if the Packers actually stick to their game plan and literally just threw the football all day. It could have been worse than that. Of course, MVS fumbled that game, but, like I said, it was still bad from watching because they did really good throwing the football. Even that Hail Mary pass where Aaron Rodgers pretty much was at the safety and bombed it down the field and they caught that football. That was still like bad coverage in my opinion. So the soft coverage on defense was really a reason. Another reason I can think of why the Colts were struggling last season. I would say edge rush, of course. But yeah, coaching scheme was definitely one of my biggest problems when it came to the defense. Because, look, when I'm saying this, I have no knock on anybody I name or any coach or anything like that. I'm just saying in general from a fan's perspective, my personal opinion, I don't like the scheme. I really didn't like the scheme. I feel like it was too bland. Like offenses can really figure us out in less than 2 quarters. They go to halftime and they look at film or they see an adjustment they make. They come in the second half, guns blazing. Houston Texans, for example. Houston Texans last year was one of the worst teams in the NFL, correct? And then you see them play the Colts. Now, I know it's a divisional game, but take this for example. We played them twice, and both of them came down to the final minute. And it came down to a successful defensive stop on the goal line. Like, it's kind of bad looking from there where they had a undrafted wide receiver. Like this guy, he was short and he could catch the football, good route running, wide open. Half the time, both of the times he played us, like if you look at both of those Texans games, you're gonna be like, that's pretty embarrassing for a top 5 defense to get aired out by one of the worst teams in the NFL. I know it's Deshaun Watson, he's very good, but like you gotta be honest with yourselves. Like the scheme for the defense against that team twice, if you watch those games, like Deshaun Watson is nice, breaking all the sacks and all that good jazz, but even still, it felt like the defense was out there lost in the woods. Like I would not just blame it all on the edge rush. You have to look at the higher up of who's making those plays. You got to look at that. So coaching, I would say, was inconsistent. I would say that as well. So I know I'll probably get some slander toward that, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. That's just my personal opinion and how I felt, how the season went. Going in and out of the games, coaching was not very consistent. I will say that. Now, like I said, of course, we lost Nick, and he went to Philly. But the defensive coordinator, I feel like if we make some few adjustments, I feel like we'll hit our next stride. I really do. Now, I know we drafted Kwity Paye, and he's going to make an impact on the edge. But if we still have the same scheme problem when it comes to these games, because we got a lot of good offenses coming in next year, and we have the same issue, you're going to have to look at what we're doing. Like, it's not going to be the players. You're going to have to look at, okay, well, this scheme isn't working. I'm just saying, just hold that thought until next season. If we have the same problems, even with one of the best edge rusher in the draft, even with that, you're gonna have to look at the coaching staff and start questioning that. But that was just my view of last season. When it came down to these soft coverages and the same bland defense, you gotta look at stuff like that from my perspective. So, like I said, Jonathan Taylor hit his stride late on in the season. Phillip Rivers was pretty much clicking at the end of the year. Edge rush was, it was absent. I would give us that. And then another thing I thought about, when we went to the playoffs, I was thinking about that second Titans game. Most of the players were inactive that game. We pretty much got blew out the water. But I was thinking, if our players were active that game, I feel like we would have won that game and maybe would have clinched the division. Simple as that. I think that's another thing that played into the role of us being inconsistent going down into the playoffs. I feel like that was a big game when we lost our players, and it kind of hit us really hard because I don't know about you guys, but watching that second Titans game was pretty embarrassing. Like, they ran the football all day and they were looking unstoppable. And then a week after that, they got exposed by the Packers. That was kind of bad, but that game right there was very, very hard to watch. So, like I said, that game right there, second game when most of our players weren't active, I would say played a big role going into the playoffs later on in that year as well. That Browns game when we was pretty much getting aired out by Baker Mayfield at the beginning of the year, that hit us hard. The first game of the year, we lost to the Jaguars, and nobody really knew what we were going to look like. We lost our running back that year, then we lose Malik Hooker a little bit later. It was just a lot of things that played into why the Colts struggled last year, but I just named a few. But if you can think of anything in the comment section of what do you think caused the Colts to struggle last year, it can be the head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators. You can name Kamoko Ture in the playoffs. You can name Rocky Sin. Anything you want to name in the comment section of why you think the Colts struggled, here is your chance right now. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts, whether they're positive or negative. If you agree with me or disagree, I wouldn't care, to be honest. But I just want to hear your thoughts on the whole situation. Why do you think the Colts struggled? Maybe even Phillip Rivers. I knew there was a bunch of Phillip Rivers slander going into the year, and then he picked it up at the end, and then people act like it never happened. But I always was on Phillip Rivers' side last year, just to put that out there. But you guys let me know your whole thoughts and process of why do you think the Colts struggled, and I will get back with you. And until next time, you've been Culture Shocked.